Richmond, welcome to our first show. I'm your host, Matt Nowak. Today's episode, we will cover the brewing scene here in Richmond and everything beer. This show will cover a wide variety of topics from everything in Richmond, Virginia. We'll cover sports, beer, anything that goes on in the city of Richmond. Today, I've got some excellent guests here from Triple Crossing Brewery. They will explain what's going on in the city of Richmond as far as brewing. And we have a video to start it off. This will introduce them and what they do. So, Frank.
My name is Jeremy Wirtis. I'm the sole brewer and co-owner of the Triple Crossing Brewing Company. I got started homebrewing about 3 or 4 years ago. Was really into beer pretty early on, just outside of college. Got into Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, Dogfish Head 60, various beers like that, and I kind of wanted to see if it was possible to make those things at home. I actually borrowed a friend's homebrew kit to start learning how to do it. Took off from there and got obsessed, and kind of came up with the idea to start a brewery at some point, like most home brewers do. And when the opportunity presented itself to go pro with a couple of friends of mine, Adam Worcester and Scott Jones, I took it. The Triple Crossing is a pretty big landmark in Richmond that not a lot of people are aware of. It's the only place in North America where 3 Class A railroads come together at different junctions. Three different elevations, actually. It was uniquely Richmond, and it really fit with kind of what we're doing, especially given that there's 3 of us involved in the business. So we really wanted to use that as kind of our theme. So less railroad themed, more so friend themed. The beers that we have on tap right now are Rye Pale Ale, which is wet hopped with fresh Centennial from the Virginia Hop Initiative. It's pretty cool to use that stuff and see how it turned out in the beer. We also have our Element 79, which is a golden ale on. It's kind of a mainstay for us. It's one of the few beers we brew often, along with Falcon, which is one of our bigger IPAs that we have. We also brew that pretty often. It's made only with Falconer's Flight hop blend. We've also got an American Amber Ale on, which is new for us, and we've now got an American Brown Ale, hoppy brown ale called Barnburner. That's the second time we've made that beer. That's on draft right. The best-selling beers have by far been our Element 79, the Golden Ale, Falcon Smash IPA, and Saison when we make it. People can come in and take things to go. We offer growlers for sale in 32-ounce and 64-ounce size. They can also purchase kegs directly from us, which has worked out really nicely too. And we're going to have our first bottle release here coming up on the 27th of September with a robust porter, so people actually will take bottles from here. Brand new. What's next for us is really just continually making new and interesting beers if possible. What we'd like to do is just hone in on the styles we've been making so far. So we kind of have 3 broad categories that we really like to. One being hop-forward beers of all kinds, pale, dark, amber, whatever. We really like hoppy beers. Second is kind of, it's called our Historic Preservation Ales project, where we really like to find older, obscure recipes, normally British recipes that don't get brewed all that often anymore. And a lot of them hark back to what's going on today in the craft beer scene, bigger, bold beers. Our porter that we're going to release is an example of those, along with our Golden Ale is one of those too. So we really like to do those. And then our other category is kind of Saison, farmhouse, rustic ales. Really big fans of those too. We try to brew one of those as often as possible also. So we like to experiment, we like to play around. We really don't have the same thing on draft every week or two. We like to give that to people so they can come in and try different beers and experience different things, and it's always a rotating, ever-changing selection. So that's kind of what it is. We're getting a little bit of draft beer out to market. Not as much as we'd like, but we have a difficult time making enough beer to supply both ends of it. So.
All right, well, I'm here with Adam Worcester and Jeremy Wirtis from Triple Crossing Brewery. They're 2 of the 3 members, the 3 owners of Triple Crossing Brewery. And guys, thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
I really appreciate you coming down. You guys opened recently, was it April?
We did, yeah. We opened on April 11th of this year.
How's it been going so far?
It's been going really good. We've been really busy. Obviously, opening day was pretty huge. Tons of people came in. been having a hard time kind of keeping up our beer supply lately too, which is always nice.
We started out with 5 beers on draft, and within like a couple weeks it was 3. So the real thing we've been faced with now is kind of making sure we are able to meet demand and still kind of provide some beer out to market as well.
Have you been able to get any out there to distributors to put out, or?
We just started this month kind of sending out a steady amount of kegs to be in local bars. It's not huge yet, but we're working our way towards providing more out there.
Yeah, it's about 2 barrels, which a U.S. beer barrel is 31 gallons, so it's 12 5-gallon kegs roughly is all we're pretty much putting out at this point, and it seems to be well received so far. We'd like to keep doing it, so we're going to try and maintain that as long as we can keep beer in our tasting room, which is also really important to us.
Yeah, and I think the model that we're doing is a little bit different, I think, than a lot of like breweries across the country, where we're kind of focusing on like we want people to come back to the tasting room because we have lots of different things on draft all the time in the tasting room. People can pretty much expect to find something different on every time they come, and it's a credit to Jeremy's creativity to kind of keep that going. So we put out some of the ones we really like a lot out to market to kind of have people taste it and get interested and hopefully come back and check us out.
How do you decide which ones you're going to brew or which ones you're picking?
That's kind of the great part about what we decided to do, is that it's just whatever we feel like. It's usually done in a really complicated way by like text message.
Yeah.
So I'll just shoot those guys a text and say, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking. What are you guys thinking? And we normally just make a decision right then and there. And unlike a lot of other breweries, even our size, and we're pretty small, a lot of people guys will focus on 2 or 3 core beers and then kind of fool around. For us, we don't have to do that. We can kind of do whatever we want, which is really nice about the small model. And we kind of want to keep it interesting for people and always change up. So if you come in one week, it might not be the same as next week. So we try to keep probably 2 beers on all the time if we can. We've got 2 core brands that we like to keep on. But even then, if they're out for a couple of days, it's nothing that we see as a big problem. So.
And actually, Jeremy recently is we're trying to hone in on 3 categories of beers that we kind of offer. I don't know if you wanted to like.
Well, I know in the video there you talked about the British beers.
Yeah, we've kind of got 3 categories we like to do, or like to kind of focus on right now, and one of the more unique ones for us anyway is something we're calling the Historic Preservation Ales Project. It's kind of based on beers from the past. Doesn't necessarily have to be, but a lot of them are. I'm a big fan of what British ales even are now, but more so what they used to be. Just like modern craft, American craft beer, they were really big, really flavorful, really expressive, and they kind of got watered down over the years due to tax issues and lots of other factors too. But there's some really good work being done, kind of bringing those recipes back. And I brewed them as a home brewer, and that's kind of been a focus of ours, is to make those beers and those recipes so that people can kind of see what beer was like back then.
How do you research it? How is that?
The internet's your friend for sure. There's some really great blogs that kind of go into depth with these recipes and actually show old photos of brewing logs from like the 1850s, which is where we got a really great robust porter recipe from. There's also a few books I've got too that really delve into what beers used to be like back then. Of course, no one really knows necessarily because people drank it all, but
sure.
You can kind of get close.
Still do it today.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned different model. I know you don't really serve any food. How is that different from the restaurants now?
Right. So there was a law that was passed about a year and a half ago called SB 604, which basically allowed for breweries to act in a similar manner as wineries, where you don't necessarily have to serve food, but you can allow people into your tasting room to try samples of beer, get full pours of beer, and not have to have a certain amount of food served as well. So that model that law being passed kind of helped a lot of these other breweries that have cropped up in Richmond over the last couple of years. That was the impetus to get kind of it all started. So with that, we're right in the city of Richmond. We have a lot of great local food places that will deliver to us. And so if you come into our tasting room, we have like a menu set up where you can find a couple of different restaurants that'll deliver, and people can call them and get it sent right up there. I know that when I'm there, I order a lot of Jimmy John's from VCU. And we also have food trucks occasionally that will come up for weekends and big events, and they'll set up right behind our shop and kind of serve food out of there. So we're kind of finding the balance because we know people like to eat while they're drinking, but it's also the idea is to come in and try new beer that you can't get anywhere else, and just have a drink or two with friends, and then move on maybe to dinner with your friends as well at one of the restaurants in the area. So
Yeah.
Now, how do you work within the community? I understand it's kind of a collaborative community at times.
It is. From the brewing perspective, we rely on a local farmer who raises feeder cows. He raises young calves to about a year old, and he uses spent grain as not necessarily the sole food source, but he supplements traditional cow food with our spent grain. Especially because we're in the city and we don't have a whole lot of room. That stuff's got to get out of there now.
Yeah.
Because it starts to make the place smell if it sticks in there for a long time. So that's worked out really, really well. It's just a win-win for us because we get rid of it and then he takes it. Also, we worked with the Virginia Hop Initiative too, another agricultural company that is starting to actually palletize local hops, which is pretty huge for local, Virginia hops. Because normally it's just whole flowers, which are nice. Pellets are a little bit easier for our system, just speaking for us. So that's kind of cool to see also.
Good. It's always good to stay local and be involved in the community. Do you guys do any kind of events, there's like corporate events or even charitable events at the building?
yeah, absolutely. We'll have we've had some corporate events where somebody can rent out a space in the brewery or have like a meeting there or work group or whatever. But we also have been just recently focusing a lot on kind of doing some charity work with people. We have an event coming up on September 27th. We're releasing a porter in bottles for the first time, and it's called the Liberty or Death Porter, named, of course, after Patrick Henry's speech up at St. John's. So I'm like a big history nerd, so I was really psyched up about the fact that Jeremy liked the idea for the name of the beer, and it's a traditional English recipe. And so I got in touch with Laura Ensko, who's the pastor up at St. John's Church, as well as two other folks that work for the St. John's Church Foundation, which raises money to keep the church, looking great and being a nice part of Richmond. So got in touch with them. They were super psyched about the idea. They loved it. We're actually going to have Patrick Henry come to the brewery on the 27th, and he's going to do his reenactment of the speech.
Yep.
So I'm pretty excited. As a history nut, I think it'll be totally awesome. And we're really looking forward to it. And so some of the proceeds of the sales of the bottle and of the day's event will go to the church and the foundation. We've also done events with Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, and we're going to do something with SPCA next month and something with World Pediatric Group. So we definitely are very interested in kind of giving back to the community in that way. And I think it helps too because a lot of times people will come out to the brewery just on a regular day anyways, and we'll have this event going on and they can learn more about that charity while they're there too. So
Sure. It sounds like a very, very interesting, fun event.
Yeah.
How you got it all set up. Now you guys, the market eventually is going to become saturated. Is that a possibility here in Richmond? Or, how do you keep your edge? You guys are like one of the first people on the block.
Well, yeah. I don't, to the saturation point, I don't think so. As long as everyone sticks to the best quality beer possible, which I'll say right now, I think that's happening. So if everyone continues to do that, there's 11 in the Richmond area. If you count the city itself, I think it's 4, maybe 5 actually within the city limits. So there's going to be more, and that's great for the scene in general because it becomes a beer destination spot for people to come to and visit all the breweries and see what Richmond's doing as its own little unique beer scene right now. Also, too, if you think about other cities like Portland, don't quote me, but I think it was extrapolated out to where if the U.S. was Portland's population, I think there'd be like 10,000 breweries or more. It was just an insane number. Now, not the worst Portland for sure, but to watch this scene quickly become noticed, and bigger as fast as it has is really interesting. And not every brewery is really huge either right now. It's some smaller ones, mid-size. It's kind of across the board right now, which I think is nice too.
Who's your typical audience who's your typical customers that come in? Or you mentioned you got something on tap something new on tap every week. Are you just trying to repeat people coming in and tasting something new, or is it just your casual drinkers or people that just want to taste?
Yes.
Yes,
a little bit of both, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
We get a lot of graduate students from VCU, some of the staff from VCU, people that work and live downtown. We had a lot of people from Churchill area. We're right next to the exit for the highway on Canal Street, so all those people coming from downtown Richmond, like in the financial district, come on by and get a growler on the way home from work. I mean, a lot of those kind of people can come over and, we get a lot of them, so.
And we try to keep an approachable beer on. It's one of our flagship styles is like a summer golden ale. Have it year round as often as we can. We love the beer, but it's also extremely approachable for people who aren't necessarily craft beer veterans. But then we also got a little bit more, edgier styles. We're big fans of really big hoppy beer, so we usually try to have, one or two or as many as we can of those on also. Yeah. So we try to keep it, where, if maybe, someone's not really into beer, they can come down and try something and not be completely overwhelmed. But at the same time, we're really big hardcore beer fans too, so we like to make those kind of beers.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of fun because the way we started it, I think Jeremy mentioned it in the video, but Jeremy and I homebrewed, and so when we homebrewed, like nobody ever homebrews the same recipe over and over again unless they're trying to perfect it for some reason. You're always doing something new and interesting because you want to just try different things. So at our spot, we're always doing different, new and interesting stuff, or at least I think we are, and it's kind of fun to have different options. I mean, there's days where I'll be like 3 or 4 days between the last time I was there and it's a new beer on draft. So I mean, it's always just kind of fun because you're not locked into having the same things all the time. So our setup is small enough that it allows us to kind of have different stuff on a lot. It's pretty cool.
Very cool, guys. Since you're a new startup, I know there's a lot of difficulties trying to get it started, but you got to push through it. Can you tell me a little bit about how it got going?
Well, yeah, I can talk about some of and I'll let Jeremy talk about getting some of the equipment stuff, but it was kind of funny because as we were starting up was during the government shutdown. Yeah. And so when we were trying to get our TTB license, which is a process that we had read on message boards can take like 3 or 4 months, which made us incredibly nervous because we were trying to open up fast, because we had already found a location. Then the government shutdown occurred right after we submitted our application, and we were like, oh man, this is going to put us back like 6 to 8 months. But the amazing thing was, like, right after the shutdown was over, I called up there, and everybody I talked to was like, we're so sorry, and they got our application approved within like 26 days. It was incredibly fast, and we were super excited about it. And then the other thing we went through while opening was our building is in Monroe Ward, or Jackson Ward Financial, or Monroe Ward Historic District, and so we had to actually get historic approval from the whatever governing body is for. Was it national or state? I can't remember. Both. So we had to get historic approval, and they wanted to see all the changes we were going to make to the building, inside and outside. And in order to keep our beer cooled, we have to get a chiller. And so this chiller goes on the roof, and this thing is big, right?
It's the size of a Volkswagen Beetle.
It is. It's the size of a Beetle. And so they wanted to see what it was going to look like on the roof of the building. So Jeremy and Scott.
Did you put a Volkswagen Beetle on the roof?
No, we did not. We're going to ramp it off Canal Street and land on the roof. But Jeremy and Scott, Scott's the other owner with us, and they had to build a replica of it out of PVC pipe and cardboard on the roof. And they had built it on the ground, and they realized that it was not going to go up on the roof the way they had built it. So they had to disassemble it, go up to the roof, and then reassemble it again on the roof, and then take 360-degree pictures around the building of the roof. Yeah, I'm glad I missed that day of construction.
That's the thing, is everything does work out if you've got the patience and time and leftover money to keep paying rent on a place that has nothing going on in it. Right. That's what it's about. It's like, they come back with those requests, and you can either get irritated by it, you can get upset, or you can just go, all right, well, how do I handle this as quickly and efficiently as possible? Yeah. And that's what you have to do. There's just, once you get to a point where you've decided, look, we're doing this, there is no turning back. And there's several points early on that you commit your financial responsibility personally to, the rest of your life as far as the business goes, 5-year leases, name it.
That's just being a business owner.
It is. Yeah. And more so in this business, there's just so much going on with getting it open. In a retail store, you can get, and not to denigrate retail stores, but you could get some shelving in there and, call it good. The amount of regulation we go through on a daily basis with the Virginia ABC, the federal government, agriculture, you name it, we've got various agencies that we have to satisfy.
Are they good for you? I mean, obviously it presents some challenges, but is it a good thing that they come in here and are talking with with you.
Yeah, and that's the thing is they do. I mean, I think we've been lucky at every step of the process with these, just like with the TTB, which is the federal governing agency. We got through that really quickly. Virginia ABC has been really good too as far as that goes. We really haven't had any issues at all. They're not there to stop you. That's not what they want to do. They just want to make sure that you're falling within the guidelines.
Sure.
I think a lot of people get intimidated because there are so many like hurdles, I guess you could say. But like Jeremy said, I mean, if you work with these people, they're more than willing to help you out. It's just about talking to them with the right attitude and kind of going with the right mindset to make it work. And I'll say, like, us starting up, we had some great help from, like, our architect was awesome, this guy Bill LaFoon. Without a good architect, I don't think that we could have possibly made the place into the awesome place that it is now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
Mine too.
we're very grateful for kind of some of the people that helped us out along the way.
Well, it sounds like you guys, right out the gates, you've done really well. And speaking of that, I've heard you recently won some awards. We
did. We entered 4 beers into the statewide Virginia Craft Brewers Fest, which, from what I'm told, I think it's the only state that does that actually, where they, all the commercial breweries can get together and enter beers and then have a festival too based around it. So, being open for as little as we were and as small as we are, and without a packaging line that does things really, really nicely for you, so you can just grab a bottle off your packaging line and send it in. We did it all by hand. Doing that, and we just figured, let's just send some beers in and get some really great independent feedback, because the judges judge everything blind. They just get beer poured for them. They don't know where it came from. They just know the style, and then they judge it.
Yeah.
So we medaled with 3 beers out of the 4. We got a silver in American Pale Ale, silver in American Strong, and then a bronze in Imperial IPA. So really, really happy with that outcome. We couldn't believe it when it was happening. We were just psyched to be there, especially considering that we were, competing with and pouring beer next to, I guess, people we get to call our peers now, but it was just beers that I looked up to and breweries that, I really liked a lot and still do. So it was huge for us.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Well, it was also nice. I mean, Jeremy's not going to say this, but I mean, coming from being a home brewer and to making that jump to commercially brewing beer and having that kind of recognition, I mean, it's pretty awesome for him, personally, I think. And Scott and I are both like super proud of the work he's been doing there as well. So. Well,
it sounds like you guys are all friends and great partners. Mm-hmm. That makes for a good business model.
It does.
What's next for Triple Crossing?
What's next for us?
It seems like you've already conquered the scene.
No. We're doing well. We're happy. It's just making the best beer that we possibly can. That's what keeps me up at night. That's what keeps me going. It's all I want to do is really just perfect what we're doing. Kind of keep our heads down and just keep making the best beer possible. Getting a little bit out to market here and there is also something we want to do and want to keep doing it, so that way we can have a little bit of a presence out there, so that, because we're finding that a lot of people like to drink beer in some of the great craft beer bars that we have in the city, and there's lots of them. And we still get often that maybe they've had the beer, but at a festival they keep asking, they say, yeah, I've had that before, but where are you guys? Because they haven't been yet. And we'd like to continue keeping keep that kind of momentum going to get people down there.
Yeah, like just this month, like starting to put more kegs out to market, even if it's only 12 kegs, that was a huge step for us, because that's, we were doing nothing before. Yeah. So we're working our way towards putting more distribution out. We'd obviously love to at some point in time, I mean, like bottle and can, I'd love to go into Once Upon a Vine or something and see my 6-pack of Triple Crossing beer out there. I think we're probably a ways away from that. This event September 27th is our first time bottling. It's all gonna be hand bottled though. We don't have any kind of equipment for that. Should be interesting. We're gonna hand bottle, hand label, and hand number all of them.
Sounds like a reason to have more beer.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting experiment. But at some point in time, distributing more and kind of getting some more product out to market is definitely a goal.
Awesome, man. You guys, it's just been a great experience just hearing about what you have. I really appreciate you coming in.
Oh, thanks for having us
on. Thanks a
man.
lot.
Well, if I can keep you on board, we're going to transition over to talking about how you got brewing. You started at home brewing.
I did.
And we're going to talk to Tony over at Original Gravity to talk about how to start home brewing. And we do have a call in. You can call in at 804-915-9202. We'll take calls at any time towards the end the show. So call in. So Frank, let's transition over to the next video.
Hi, I'm Tony, and I own Original Gravity, which is a homebrew shop located in Lakeside, on Lakeside Avenue. That's 6920 Lakeside Avenue. At Original Gravity, we sell everything you need to make beer and wine, and that's everything from the beginner level on up to the advanced homebrewer. You can get your starter kit, you can get equipment kits, you can get all kinds of equipment, kegging gear, you name it, we've got it here. We've got a selection of brew kettles, wort chillers, which if you don't know what a wort chiller is, that's what you use to cool down the wort, which is the unfermented beer, once you've boiled it. We have all the kegging supplies you need, kegs themselves to the beer taps and faucets, beer line. We have things to convert coolers into mash tuns, which is what you need if you want to go into all grain brewing and you want to convert put your grain in and steep it. Basically, it's called mashing, and the temperature converts the starches into sugars. We've got the stuff for that. We've got your fermenters, which range from plastic buckets up to the glass carboys, and lots of books, as well as 20 years of brewing experience right here that I'm willing to help you with anything you need, any questions or troubleshooting that you need. I can help you with that. Probably some of the biggest first-time mistakes people make would be adding the yeast to the wort or the unfermented beer before it's cool enough. You really don't want to pitch the yeast, which is a fancy term for adding the yeast to the wort, until you've gotten it down to between, say, 65 and 70 degrees. A lot of times I have new brewers come in and say, yeah, we cooled it, and it was, we touched the side of the bucket, it felt cool, and then we put the yeast in. And then they're wondering why they have all these weird fruity flavors in their beer. Nowadays, it seems like people want to throw every kind of spice or herb or flavoring they can think of into a beer. And sometimes that works out, and sometimes it doesn't. I usually recommend to new brewers to keep it simple and just brew a few regular beers first and get a feel for everything from what's proper sanitation like to proper fermentation temperatures, and just see if you can produce a good solid beer before you start getting too experimental.
My name is Jeremy Wirtis. I'm the sole brewer and co-owner of the Triple Crossing Brewing Company. I got started homebrewing about 3 or 4 years ago.
All right, we're back. Sorry about that. The number I gave is 804-915-5202. I incorrectly said 9202. It's 5202. So call us in. We'll take some phone calls a little bit. Right next to me here, I've got Tony Amendolia. He is the owner of Original Gravity Home Brew and Wine. And as you see his video, he has 20 years experience in home brewing. A lot of the folks here in the industry, in the brewing business here in Richmond, has started as probably can trace their roots to you. So Tony, tell us how people would get started in home brewing.
All right, well, usually they do a little internet search, find out where they can buy stuff. Hopefully Original Gravity comes up on the top of that search. No, but it's pretty simple. You usually start off with a basic equipment kit and some ingredients, usually in the form of a kit the first time or two that you brew. And you just need a 5-gallon pot and some bottles to put the finished product in. It takes about 3.5, 4 hours to brew it, and let's say 6 to 8 weeks later, you're drinking your first brew.
So you can brew it, but you won't expect to drink it that day.
No, yeah, I'm amazed. I'm amazed at how many people think you just brew it and then it's ready to drink. But no, you've got to let the yeast do its work. And then if you're bottle conditioning, the yeast works twice because you prime it with sugar before you put it in the bottles. And the sugar eats that yeast, and CO2 is created and held in with the cap, so it carbonates the beer.
That sounds like a lot of pressure. Literally.
Party hard.
What type of people usually come in? I mean, who is it out there? Is it
Well, predominantly guys seem to be more into brewing, and probably the majority are going to be in their mid-20s up to their mid-30s, but then there seems to be a lot more men in their 40s and above that are just getting into it as well.
Now, your other half of the business is wine.
Mm-hmm.
How does that differ from brewing beer, if at all?
Well, it does. I mean, it doesn't seem to be it's not as labor intensive, for one, because you don't have to do the boiling and mashing and boiling and whatever else, adding hops, cooling it down after you've boiled it. So, but the fermentation part is fairly similar, but it doesn't seem to be quite as temperature sensitive. With beer, you really kind of want to keep it, with ales anyway, you want to keep it under 70, like between 65 and 70 degrees. With wine, it can be up in the 70s.
Okay. With your interaction with your customer base, do you do any outreach for like charitable outreach or any working with any other organizations? I know I saw you over here working at Triple Crossing the other day.
Yeah, that was all for charity.
Now you guys appreciate the help.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a lot of craft breweries nowadays will do collaboration beers, and I think the cool thing about doing a collaboration is you kind of, if we hadn't done it, it's always Jeremy's ideas all the time, which I have a say sometimes, but maybe not often enough. But having Tony in there was kind of awesome, because I was saying when they were watching the video that Tony kind of helped me get into brewing in the first place. My wife got me a kit. I brewed one extract recipe, and then I was like, I got to do this again. So I went and found Original Gravity. We became friends, I guess, just kind of talking and getting advice on stuff. And then when Jeremy and Scott and I started Triple Crossing, I knew we wanted to do a collaboration at some point in time with Tony. Finally made it happen this week. Brewed a pretty awesome IPA. We actually broke the mash paddle during the brew. This guy did.
So you know it's good.
Yeah. He manned the mash paddle.
Always better when things are broken.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really awesome. I can't wait to try it and have a drink with Tony, who we've known each other for a while, and throughout my whole career as a brewer.
Well, Jeremy's the expert, right?
Jeremy's the expert.
Yes, he used to do all the work.
I'm the Robin to his Batman.
Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Well, that happened.
Yep.
You've got quite a selection there at the store. What seems, as far as materials, what are people coming in for nowadays?
You mean like what kind of
What
styles?
what
are
materials
people
and
brewing?
styles are people brewing at home? What's easier to do? Let's ask, what's easier to do at home?
Okay, well, you're going to want to stay away from lagers, because you need to have a refrigerator basically dedicated to making lagers. So if someone comes in and they want to make lagers, I kind of explain that and steer them towards an ale. Another thing, people will come in and they'll say, my friend told me I should make a brown ale for my first beer. And then I say, do you like brown ales? They say no. I said, well, you're not going to make a brown ale for your first beer, because you can make the best brown ale in the world and you're not going to like it. But yeah, a lot of IPAs. I mean, that's definitely big. And then a lot of folks are coming in that, I think inspired by some of what's happening in the craft beer movement now. They want to add every kind of spice and fruit you can think of to the beer, or just odd ingredients. And I usually say, brew at least 2 or 3 just regular beers first, so that you can make sure you're not, screwing the base up, and then, you can start playing around.
Odd ingredients, like what are we talking about here? Like
Peanut butter.
Coriander.
Yeah, peanut butter, hot peppers, you name it. I mean, just go into the kitchen cabinet and
I just
open it
read
up.
somewhere there's like a Thai beer with like lemongrass, chili peppers.
Now, I've had a beer that somebody made, an IPA that they call a Thai PA, and it's actually pretty good. It does have some peppers in it, but it's got the Thai basil and lemongrass and that stuff. As long as the thing is, you don't want to go overboard with any of those flavors.
And then what are some mistakes that home brewers can make?
That's a little.
A lot.
There are
A lot.
There are a million that they can make, but
Same as pro brewers.
but probably the most common would be not cooling the wort down enough when they pitch the yeast.
Done that before.
A lot of people come in and I say, "Did you cool your wort down to below 70?" They say, "Well, it felt it felt warm. You know, it felt kind of warm to the touch." We
All
thought
right,
we were
let's
good."
take this call. What's up, Richmond?
Hey, how you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
I got a question for the guy in the green shirt.
Sure, go ahead.
Do you guys make Coronas?
Corona.
Well, that's a lager.
All right, thanks, man. Corona.
Rob, was that you?
Corona. Why would you? Now, you just explained you make good tasting beer. Not that Corona's tasting bad, but these are IPAs and flavorful beers. Very rich.
Well, yeah, Corona's a lager, so that's a hard beer to make.
It is.
I guess the home brewer can't do it.
When I was first getting into homebrew, like everybody else, I was like, a lager too, right? And you read online a lot of the homebrew forums, they're like, let Budweiser and Miller and Coors make the lagers because they're gonna make it so much better than you could ever make it. If you really want a lager, just go buy one from them. Like, make the ales. It's so much easier, and it's there's so much more variety of ales that you can make. It's just more fun. Yeah. So I wouldn't make a Corona.
Is there a seasonal I see a lot of the wintertime they'll do like stouts, and the summertime they'll do like the summer ales or. I mean, why? I mean, I was always taught if you like something, drink it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think
I mean, I don't understand the logic.
No, I think a lot of people equate dark beer with cold times of year. I mean, I don't, but a lot of people do. So you want to have your lighter summer seasonals out during when it's hot, and then for colder weather this time of year, pumpkin beer is kind of a big deal right now too for some breweries. And then imperial stouts in the wintertime because they're big, thick, heavy, dark. They don't go down as easy, but it's something you want to sip on. So. I don't get that, but a lot of people feel that way, so that's kind of how the market moves.
And definitely like the summer ales are real nice because they're crisp, easy to drink, refreshing on the hot days. So that's like our Element 79 Golden Ale is an English summer ale, and so it's one of those ones that's been pretty popular throughout the whole time we've been open because it's been nice weather since April. We've been very lucky. But yeah, we're moving towards making some stouts now.
It's just like Corona.
Yeah.
It's no different.
Is it kosher to put limes and citrus in beer?
No,
For you guys?
Not triple crossing.
not for us. No, not really. We're a little bit old-fashioned in that regard.
Yep.
Well, good guys. Tony, when I went to your shop, it just the smell of it, hit me, and it almost smelled like a bakery. Now, what you told me you were going to expand?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
So I've been in the current location that I'm in for about 3 years, and I knew my lease was getting ready to come up, and I felt like I had outgrown that space pretty much within the first year I was there. So I started looking for a larger location, and I've always wanted to open a brewery, so looking for a bigger space that I could do a little brewing in as well. So the new location is just going to be 3 doors down the street from where the current shop is, so you can actually park in the same place. And we'll be open down there probably in 4 to 6 weeks. And who knows when we'll be brewing? It'll probably be in the spring sometime, hopefully.
Are you getting help from these guys to get it going?
Oh, yeah.
We just discussed a little bit about some of the obstacles and the challenges you can have.
Yeah, I mean, like when I was brewing it with them the other day, I'm checking everything out, asking all these questions, because sure, I gotta apply any information I can get.
It's good to have a little bit of a mentor to get going.
He mentored us, and now
There you go.
business,
paying it back, right?
yeah,
We'll be
one
sending him an invoice.
one expert for another. What do you plan? What are you focusing on when you are able to get it up and running?
What am I working on to move forward?
Well, I mean, what kind of product would you be focusing on when you get rolling there?
I'm gonna do a lot more of what I'm doing already, so I'll have more varieties of grains to choose from, more hops, more yeast. I'm bringing in the RVA yeast labs. I've already got some of their stuff. That's a local yeast lab that's making brewing yeast, and they actually go out and isolate strains. If you want to pay them to come out and isolate strains from your backyard, they'll do it.
Wow.
So I'll be carrying their full line, and then as far as brewing goes, that's the fun of home brewing. I'm gonna take the fun of home brewing into the commercial brewing world and brew whatever I want. But I'm kind of like these guys, and I don't really like to do. I'm definitely not going to be adding all kinds of crazy stuff. Maybe one or two beers, but for the most part, just trying to make really solid, fairly classic examples. Maybe pushing the envelope a little bit.
Yeah, Tony was talking about RVA yeast labs. It's actually pretty awesome. I would say that they're part of the evidence of the growth of the beer scene here is the fact that they've opened up. It's really, really awesome for us because, you pay crazy shipping to get yeast shipped to you because it has to be refrigerated. So having them and being able to go pick it up or have them deliver it has been great. I've homebrewed my last 2 batches with yeast from them, and the beer has been incredible. And we've commercially done like 2 now.
We're getting another one too.
So it's been really cool. Those guys are doing a really awesome job, and they're, like Tony was saying, they're isolating all kinds of different strains of yeast. And it's really cool to kind of see, what they're going to do next. So
you figure there's probably 3, maybe 4 commercial suppliers of yeast, for professional brewers that we can easily access. I'm sure there's others that some of the even bigger guys can, but there's probably 3 that we can access or that we would. And to watch one pop up in our own backyard with free delivery to anywhere in the city is pretty awesome.
We were pretty excited about that.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
That gives you a lot of extra options.
It does, and they're just getting stuff that like the other companies don't have, which is what the other companies do with each other a lot too. They'll find things that they don't have so that they can be unique, and they're doing the same thing. So it's awesome.
Good. For the scene here, I know I've been seeing a lot of newspaper articles about Stone Brewery. Is that going to affect the scene here in the city at all, you think?
It's a hot topic.
That's definitely going to affect the scene. No question about that.
Yeah. Stone makes great beer. I've been drinking Stone beer for a long time. I think it would be really awesome for them to come over here, but at the same time, Jeremy and I were talking about it recently. The Richmond scene is kind of organically growing on its own, and it's been really cool to see it kind of grow like that. Having this gigantic brewery come in, I'm not sure how it'll affect the local scene that's been kind of growing. Is it gonna scare new entrants from coming in? Will it hurt the existing ones? I have no idea. I know that in Asheville, North Carolina, or is Brevard?
Brevard, 45 minutes out.
There's Sierra Nevada's opened up, Oscar Blues has opened up, and these places on the East Coast that have a nice craft beer scene. It's been good for those people. It'll be interesting to see kind of what happens here.
Yeah, it doesn't much matter anyway at this point. It'll probably just create even more of a destination spot for people to come down and check it out. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. None of that's going to change. I think all the other breweries feel the same way. Yeah. So if it happens, it happens. Ultimately, it'll probably make it a little bit more of a legitimate destination spot for the city. But it is interesting to see what will happen because I don't think it's, other than North Carolina, hasn't really happened in too many other places where a large brewery opens up a whole new campus right in the middle of a beer scene. So I think it's just an untested thing, and people are, unsure all around.
When you say campus, it is going to be huge.
Yeah.
150,000 barrels a year or something like that.
Yeah, they're trying to get the cap raised, I think, for
we do
the city's
200.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with staying small, though. Your model's different. You're very agile. You can.
Yeah, absolutely. And we chose this on purpose. We knew we didn't want to bite off any more than we could chew. Try to open something the size of Stone. We'd probably be broke by now because we wouldn't even know where to begin. And that's part of what we're doing. We're super new, and we got to start somewhere. And we wanted to stay small for now. And if growth happens, that's great. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. But we want to see where it goes.
All right, awesome. Now, this is a question that I've been thinking about. What's the best beer movie out there?
Oh, that's a good question. What's that one made by that Broken Lizard guys that did Super Troopers? And,
is that Beer Fest?
Yeah, Beer Fest. That movie is pretty hilarious. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, come on.
You brew beer and you haven't seen Beer
Yeah, I
Fest.
have not seen that. I have a feeling though it's
haven't
not
seen
about the beer I brew.
Yeah.
It is
No,
about
it's
the
not.
beer.
It's probably a little bit more about some of the other styles that we talked about earlier that
Yeah.
we don't make a whole lot of. So.
All right, let's take this call. What's up, Richmond?
Yeah, how you doing? I was listening to the question you said about the best beer.
The what?
I think it was the best beer movie.
Oh, the best beer movie. What do you think?
I think it's John Belushi brother. What's his name? John Belushi.
Animal House?
Yeah,
That's a good beer.
Animal House. All right, thanks, man.
I agree.
It's a good alcohol movie.
All right, in case you want to call in, phone number is 804-915-5202. We're talking about the best beer movie. This is the topic that everyone came to watch.
There's not enough.
There's a movie that's like how beer saved the world or something like that.
That's a good
Oh, yeah,
one.
I've
That's
seen
on.
that.
Yeah,
That is really good.
that's a good one.
That's on Netflix, I think.
It is.
I'll have to check that out.
They basically, credit beer for anything, science,
Yeah.
agriculture,
Life.
People moved into areas and started growing crops in order to make
Beer.
grain to make beer. So I'm
What?
like, wow.
Isn't that
All
how
of
beer
civilization.
grew? I mean, the water, if I'm not right, the history is
think-
that people brewed beer because it was safer to drink than water.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
definitely
true.
true. Back in even revolutionary era of time, like people were drinking beer way more than water because the water was so bad for
This is a
them.
book I'm reading right now. It says it was 5 liters a day was the average consumption.
That's a lot of beer.
But it was a different kind of beer, if I recall.
Just lower gravity.
Weaker,
Yeah.
probably,
A little bit weaker, but not much weaker than the fan favorite Corona. It's not much weaker than that, and that's 5 liters is a lot.
5 liters of beer, average lifespan 35.
Yeah,
That's all right.
probably a great 35.
I think one of my favorites. I was deployed when Beer Fest came out, so that kind of we watched that. My roommate and I we watched that religiously because we couldn't partake in it, so we had to live vicariously to that. So that's one of my favorites. What about what's the one? Strange Brew, the Canadian movie.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I haven't seen
Oh, everyone who's been to college has seen that one.
Yeah,
There's another one too, Drinking Buddies, that just came out recently.
yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
It takes place in a real craft brewery. That wasn't bad.
And Old School.
Old
I think that was
School
another one.
is a good. What
I don't
did you
know
say
if
about
that's a
Animal
beer
House?
movie.
Animal House. We had Animal House over
Yeah.
here.
Old
Yeah.
School was like we watched that every night in college for 4 years straight. That's a good movie for sure.
And I was thinking Beer Fest where I think the guy had to drink himself out of one of the big tubs.
Yeah, they had those giant shoes they drank out of, right?
That
Those-
too.
Yeah.
Apparently, I need to see this movie.
You need to see it.
It was like Willy Wonka when that kid's stuck in the chocolate bag, just getting a beer out of there, right?
And a Strange Brew, they had a baby mouse in the beer bottle.
Drank his way
So
out.
he was trying to get a free case of beer.
Nice. I have dreams about drinking my way out.
See,
of that
these are
beer.
things you need at your brewery. Forget the beer.
Yeah, we can just screen Beer Fest over and over again.
Yeah,
You could. There's an idea. You could have a big screen and
I'm
then.
sure there's not a regulatory body for that. I'm sure we can just do that. It's fine.
We have done some. We did a big screen setup for the World Cup, and that was really awesome. It was kind of. We had a ton of people out for that, and I think you look on like YouTube at some of the viewing parties for the U.S. games for the World Cup. People went nuts for that, and I didn't think we'd get a lot of people at our spot because there's great places like Gus's, like right in the area that were
You
showing
couldn't
it.
even stand there.
Yeah,
It was
there was
busy.
nowhere to sit. People were everywhere. We got big screens set up, and it was just great. I got totally into it. I'm like working back in the bar, and people are trying to order. I'm like, leave me alone. I'm trying to watch this. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, it would be cool if you could like show movies up there, or my brother and I talked about having like some kind of like sports viewing party for college sports or NFL or something like
Sure.
that. So I don't know. Eventually, maybe something like that will happen. It'd be kind of cool.
Maybe like an alternate work site. I know some people downtown can do like alternate work sites.
Work from home, right?
Well, come in and work from the brewery.
Yeah, we tried to promote that when we did the World Cup.
Yeah, it didn't happen. Or does happen,
People
even
are-
for the people who own it and work there. It doesn't happen.
Yep.
It was a very productive day.
Not very productive for those people.
No.
You know, guys, this has been a great experience. I'm glad I've been able to talk to you and go through it. Again, the line's open, 804-915-5202. I've just been told we got just a few more minutes left. Guys, do you have anything to add here? Anything we haven't touched upon? Tony, I know you're about to expand out and really get into the brewing aspect rather than just selling the materials for it.
Yep.
Well, thanks a lot, Tony. I'm feeling very Wayne's World-ish.
I was reading your paper and I see the patience, and right now I'm just thinking about the beer I brewed with these guys on Monday, and I'm just waiting patiently.
So we say 6 to 8 weeks for your brew?
No, not for us, luckily. If you get into kegging as a home brewer, or if you're a pro brewer, you can turn a pro brewer. That's such a terrible term. Commercial brewer, because I'm still a home brewer. I just get to.
You turned a hobby into.
I just get to do it on a big scale. Yeah. Anyway, no, for us, we can usually turn around in about 12 to 14 days, depending on how quick the beer's needed and if it's ready. But normally, that's kind of what we see for most beers. So the beer we brewed with Tony's, it's in day 3 or 4 fermentation. I think we brewed on Monday, so we're getting close.
Is it obviously constant? Is it constant monitoring and testing?
Yeah, it is.
I know nothing about the actual process.
Yeah, at home you can. A lot of people don't, but you can. Depends on how far you want to take the hobby. And same on the commercial side. So I check it once a day usually to see where how far the yeast have gone, how much sugar they've eaten and converted to alcohol, and just kind of get an idea. And we can track fermentation, so we can kind of know about what day we're going to hit. When it's finished, and then we can dry hop. Actually, with this beer, we're going to dry hop a little bit before that, but so yeah.
Okay, and these are your growlers here, and
They are some of our gratuitous merchandise.
Yeah, beer to go. Come
Beer to
in,
go.
and get a growler fill. You can bring your own growlers, get those filled up, or buy one at our shop and fill it up there.
32 and 64 ounces.
how long's the shelf life? You bring it home, you get to.
As soon as you get home, should be the shelf life. Beer stored in these it's not optimal.
Yeah.
It's really designed to kind of in a day or two, in my opinion, you should open it, and as soon as you do open it, it should all be gone.
Yeah, especially if you have like this size and you drink half of it, and
Yeah.
then you put it back in the
Yeah,
fridge.
You're
the next
asking
day,
for,
it's pretty flat.
and I know people do it, and I'm sure that hopefully they still like the beer when that happens. I just know I wouldn't. So I like to tell people just drink it now, especially if it comes in this kind of package.
Or share it with friends.
Yeah,
Even
sure.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Or if you do, just have a designated driver. Don't.
Yeah, well, you can't drink it on our site anyway, so
Growlers to go only.
yeah, it's all for off-premise.
Well, till they walk out the door and.
Right. Haven't heard of that yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not happening.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Hope so too. Well, we'll take calls. There's about 2 minutes left. Last chance for a call. We are on Twitter. If you look us up, do a search. We're What's Up RVA. We'll plan to put a YouTube site together also. You guys have been awesome. I really appreciate y'all coming in and talking about this. I definitely learned a lot through this whole process. You guys have anything else to say while we finish wrapping up? We hit a lot.
Yeah.
We did. We're just happy to be here in all aspects. We're happy to be on the show. We're happy to be making beer finally.
Yep.
It's been a long time coming for us, which actually, for us, probably not as much. We think it was a struggle to get open in some respects, but a lot of people tell us we did it kind of quickly. But we were careful along the way, but now we're actually at a point where we're making beer and we're serving it to people in the room, which is always nice and seems to be going well. So
Awesome.
For that, we're happy enough, I think.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again. It's been great having you all here.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
Like I said, catch us on Twitter, What's Up RVA. Next week, we're going to touch upon a lot of sports subjects. A lot of things happening in Richmond. We got everything from a great running scene to some ice hockey and even some winter sports. So thanks for coming. We'll see you next week. Thanks to Comcast and our producer, Frank.
Cheers.
Cheers.